Okay, hello everybody and welcome to Lullaby Gaming. Today we are playing U-Boat and I'm excited to get started with what I hope will be a nice good series for you all to enjoy. I was thinking about what games to play and I've been playing around with U-Boat a little bit. I'm fairly comfortable with the layout of the game. And I thought, what better game to play for a quiet gaming channel than a U-Boat game, which is entirely based around staying quiet underwater. This is going to be a long voyage. I plan to not do as many cuts as I usually would, just so you guys can see my thought process and just listen along for me rambling. But without further ado, we're going to get cracking. This is our U-Boat. It is currently in the port of La Rochelle, which is in the west of France. We've just started a brand new game with the 95% realism. The only thing that isn't realistic about this game, according to U-Boat, is the fact that I have this bird's eye view of the U-Boat and I can see the cross section. I don't have to see in the first person constantly, which is lovely. I think it's more cinematic that way. I believe it'll be a better viewing experience for you all. And for those of you who are just listening to my quiet ramblings and the gameplay going on, then I really hope you enjoy today's session. Really hope you enjoy this episode, and let's see what we get up to. Firstly, let's do some maintenance. We'll have a look to see what we've got in stock. So, first things first, let's fully refuel. This is just a brand new game, so it's not like I've been out anywhere and have spent fuel. We start the game with a reduced amount of fuel. Next thing we need to deal with is missing torpedoes. So we'll have a look at our bow storage and our stern storage. In the bow storage we've got 7 torpedoes loaded, 3 of which are the Type 2 electric torpedoes and 4 of which are the Type 1 steam-based torpedoes. Each torpedo has its own benefits, but at this stage of the game I do prefer using steam, as it has the adjustable speed attached to it. It can be either 30 knots or 40 knots. Whereas the Type 2 torpedoes, although they are more stealthy, they are less adjustable and more likely to be duds. The stern storage has an additional Type 2 torpedoes, so in total we will be having an armament of 5 Type 1s and 4 Type 2s. So that should do us for torpedoes. We'll just have a look at our food supply, and I always like to have a good supply of food. I never like to run dry at any point, but we won't need to buy too much. So we will have some in the kitchen, which we won't be able to see here. The cook will be using. Let's just get some fruit and veg and some nice cheese, as we already have 50 portions of bacon and 50 portions of canned bread. Something I've never actually come across in person. If you guys have ever come across canned bread, by all means leave a comment. This recording is as I'm playing the game, which I believe will add a bit more immersion to the situation we find ourselves in the game. Anyway, I was going to talk about comments. One lovely thing about this game is its customizability. If that's even a word. I think it is. So, here is me. My name is Ben, for those of you who didn't know. I'm the content creator of Lullaby Gaming. But these slots we can all change the names for, and as well as everyone else in crew. So, if you would like to be part of this game, then just leave a comment down below, just saying count me in, for example, and I will use your name or name of your choice, as long as it isn't too obscene, for you to come into the game, join me on my U-boat. As I'm a nice small channel, that's a pretty doable thing, and I encourage, some people to follow along more keenly. Later on, if we get a lot of competition for spots on the U-boat, then we'll put it down to a who has the funniest comment, which we can do at the start. So, we'll finally have a look at our recruitment, which I don't believe we'll need to do anything in particular. We'll choose the crew for the assignment. We already have 16 out of 18 crew on board, as well as 5 officers. And these officers have different traits. These traits can be seen briefly here. I do know what these traits mean, I think. So we have myself, who is a leader, and I am a bit of a career person. I've got links up in headquarters, which means that when we get headquarter missions to unlock different parts of our U-boat, this will be easier. And the same goes for Alfred Wachter. If I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, which I absolutely am, I do apologise. I've never practiced German, so I'm sorry for butchering German pronunciations in advance. Herman Oldop is a Portuguese speaker. Klaus Hagenau? I'm going to have to double check this. What's his skill? He's a cook. That could be useful. So we'll get him in the kitchen when we can. He's also a leader. Sorry, Alfred and Herman are technicians. Sorry. We'll go through the job roles when we get out to sea. But I just wanted to introduce the officer crew. And finally, we have Hans-Jürgen Oystermann, who has the skill of being an expert. Assignments performed by the officer in the headquarters are done 35% faster. So there you go. And this is our radioman. We will just add 2 people at random to just fill up the numbers entirely. So we've got a full complement of sailors on board the U-boat. Okay. So we'll say goodbye to recruitment, and we will speak to our leading officer, Klaus Schmidt. And we can't really send anyone off to headquarters at the moment, so we're going to get right onto our orders, get right onto the patrol. So I do believe there's a bit of a cutscene here where it explains about the Black Pit, and we'll let that run through. So, Allies adapted to some of our tactics, and Battle of the Atlantic is now much different than it used to be. Cargo ships headed off at the Britain often travel in heavily armoured convoys around the Atlantic. RAF Coastal Command has much more aircraft at its disposal. Still, their defence strategy has a major flaw in it. We call it the Mid-Atlantic Gap, and it's beyond the range of the RAF. So, the principle is that we shall be targeting that area in particular. We also have a bit of information about southern routes as well. So, what's been shown on screen is the sort of overarching campaigns, which we will have a look at in due course. I've never tried any of the campaigns of only had a go at the patrols, but I'm fairly comfortable with the layout of the game and the processes. So we're going to be deciding what to do here. So we got an espionage mission in Portsmouth Port, which will get us 8,000 monies, whatever the currency is. Oh, my ignorance here is going to show up. Reichmark? No, that's probably absolute rubbish. Oh, that's really going to bug me. Now I don't know the currency of World War II Germany. But let's say £8,000 because I'm British. The Black Pit has a reward, so operating inside the Black Pit in the Bravo Echo 3 and Bravo Echo 6 sectors will reward us with £6,000 and 100 reputation, or 100% reputation, and milk cow. I'm presuming that is not actually a cow. I've never achieved that objective, so if we achieve that, I'll be really interested to see what the milk cow is. And we've got patrolling in the southern sectors here, in the southern routes, and far off into the west of Africa. Then we've got a number of mission selections as well, which we could attack Scapa Flow, which is a navy base in the north of Scotland. We could search for an Enigma machine. That would be quite interesting. And we could do a patrol around the passage of Gibraltar. Interesting. That seems dull, but we won't bother with that one. If it's just riding around. So to start us off, I'd be inclined to Portsmouth Port. We might go to Portsmouth. Let's see what we can find in Portsmouth. It says it's easy. It'd be a nice starting mission for our crew. So. Oh, I see. Are we dropping? Oh, we're dropping someone off onto Portsmouth Port. Interesting. Interesting. I understand now. And we get a bonus if we complete the objective at night, which does make sense. So we'll certainly aim to do that. At the moment, all of our crew are boarded, and we just need to wait 17 hours, which we will do now, for the tubes, for the torpedoes to be loaded. So, darker nights are enabled. It will be dark, very dark, at night. We will be switching to red lighting, as it's the night at the moment. Someone will go down and flick that switch. There we go. So, red lighting helps our night vision. And then, let us get on our way.
Faster, faster.
We'll go at speed 2, out of the dock. And we'll also get someone to turn on the searchlight, which will just help our navigation out of the port. And we've got an exclamation mark above our spy here, so we'll have a quick look at that. See if there's anything we can help him with, in case he wants to speak to us. We'll take control of Ben here. We'll take control of me. He's having a look at the dock. If we go on to me and press, I believe it was escape. Tell me how I break free. My desire to sing Queen there was great. and I'm not going to do it. Don't worry. So I'd really love to get out of these. Okay. Maybe I can't. So what does this guy want? Can I take control of... There we go. So, we'll walk from the engine room with Alfred, and we'll go and talk to the spy over in the main cabin, as it were, the main hub. So, Otto Strauss greets Ben in a very official fashion and explains that he has received orders to join the crew of U-boat 96 during this assignment. I will give him a good welcome. And without further ado, he wanders through and will probably remain idle for the duration. Anyhow, at the moment I do believe, yes, we've just linking round, and we'll turn off that searchlight. Now we're out of the range of the pier, and we'll raise our speed all the way to full. Another thing worth doing would be to assign a couple of people to Herman here, who is our technician who's currently helping the diesel engines run a bit faster and run a bit more smoothly. This will just help us conserve fuel, which is ultimately money in the long run. So, I will say goodbye for a short while whilst I plot a route to Portsmouth, and I will let you know if anything occurs. Okay, so we've arrived off the sort of northwest coast of France here, and my reason for doing this is that if it wants the objective done at night, then you better find a safe place to park up until it's ready to attack, as it were. Now, pick this area just because it's a bit of a cutaway, and this is obviously an area incredibly well defended by the British. This is the English Channel, the crossing point between France and Britain. Any destroyers, battleships that come across us will try and destroy us. So we've got to be very cautious of that. So we'll just stay off the north coast of France here, and really we'll find a place, probably. Yeah, if we just nip round the side here, this will do us absolutely fine. Oh, there are some very, very shallow areas around here, and I want to be very cautious of running aground on any rocks. So, just checking over here, this looks good. Then we'll just turn around here. The U-boat's here. It is currently about 3:15 in the afternoon. Here is our U-boat in the lovely sun as it's setting. The date is the 13th of January 1941, and which means obviously if you're in the northern hemisphere, the sun sets earlier and rises later. This means that we'll have a longer period of time to achieve our objective in the shadow of darkness, in the shadow of the night. which is good. Though, for the time being, it does mean that visibility will be reduced when we're operational. So I'll just finish off this manoeuvre here, which I've just plotted out that we're just going to do a quick turnaround. There we go. And we'll cut our engines here. There we go. And bring our U-boat to a standstill. So, we'll just wait on our heels for a little bit as we wait for night to fall. Then we'll go towards Portsmouth Port, not directly at Portsmouth Port, but at this area here, which will be the drop-off point for this spy that we are carrying. We will make sure to rest up our technician here who is working on the engines, and for the time being Alfred can take over the management of the ship in a technical capacity. We'll get someone just to listen in on the radio. In fact, Alfred, there's nothing really for you to do for the time being with the diesel engines, as they are completely and utterly stopped. We will get you to we don't need to play cards with the troops to improve the morale at this point, but we'll get you on the radio, we'll get you listening, and everyone else can have a good nap whilst we wait for night to fall. I will join you when that occurs. Okay, so welcome back. Whilst we've been stationary, the U-boat has spun slightly, just because there's been no activity on the rudder, so the current has been able to drag it around a little bit. So we'll just have to perform a quick manoeuvre as we set off towards Portsmouth. It won't take long to get to Portsmouth across the channel. We've got sort of 5 kilometres to exit out the coastline, and then a measly 127 kilometres, which should be absolutely fine. So we'll get underway with our journey now, and hopefully we don't come across any ships in the meantime, and we'll aim to begin our approach underwater around this point. Obviously, we do not have much depth under the keel at all, and in fact it might be wiser just looking at the little markers here. Here is a very shallow bit and we will not be able to be submerged whatsoever. At this point we might be able to lower the... In fact, we'll just get on going whilst I'm explaining this.
Faster, faster.
We will... And this area is just as shallow, so we may have to remain on the surface for this final stretch, but at least with this busy to and from area, we have a few meters of clearance, so at the very least we can lower the U-boat enough to keep our decks awash, as they say. And in premise, that is just keeping the U-boat just so the decks of the U-boat, which I'll show you after this quick save file. The decks of the U-boat here, as you can see my mouse running along in it, will be under the water. So, we will begin our crossing over. We'll do this nice and slowly, so that if any form of detection occurs, we can react to it nice and quickly. I'm not looking to get into any form of engagement for the mere purpose that we are right next to a major British naval base, which will mean that it will be incredibly deadly for us to become involved in any form of conflict, as they can quickly dispatch vast number of units to our position once we're discovered and it's reported. So we'll be lying low. Hopefully this all goes swimmingly well. Okay, so I've just assigned Herman here to man the diesel engines, just so we have that extra bit of speed, so we're not spending as much time in the channel. Just speeding up to 140 times, which will be the speed that we'll be travelling at. If anything is detected on the radio, if anything is detected by our watchman here, which is me in this case, then we will come to a standstill with time acceleration. As you can see, we're making a good way across the channel now, and it is coming up to 8 o'clock at night. Given this pace, we should be arriving around 10ish, maybe a little bit sooner, at least to the point where we will be wanting to submerge. And in fact, let us do that now. Let's bring the U-boat to periscope depth, and although it is a substantial distance to cover underwater, we do have the oxygen supply for it, and we won't be able to do all of it. So we'll have to keep a close eye. So we're submerged now, you see. And we'll turn our lighting to red, so we've got an increased bit of visibility. We'll bring our game down to a hold, and we'll get someone listening in the listening room. In fact, we'll get Alfred here to man the depth steering stations, and we'll get Hans to listen on the hydrophone for any hostile ships which might be moving in the area that we need to be aware of. Could have really done this first, but where would the fun in that be? Herman's getting pretty tired now, and I prefer him to be alert, so we're going to take a bit of a hit to the speed here and send him to bed just for the time being. We're going to get someone to help me out on the periscope as well, just to identify any hostiles. As you can see here, we've got this maximum hydrophone range, which is very inaccurate at this sort of distance. However, like with sight, you can see we've got the max sight here and clear sight. Clear sight is where we can definitively say where a ship is without any hesitation or doubt. And likewise with the hydrophone distance, but as long as we've got someone manning the hydrophone, then we can definitively say anyone within this distance, we know where they are. However, much further away from that is our maximum hydrophone range, which we will get ideas of where hostile ships are, which is extremely useful to know what's out and about. For the time being, it doesn't seem like anyone is particularly active, but I'm just going to plot a course here where I think it's deepest, and I'm just going to be doing this by scanning around and making sure that it's not getting too far below the keel. So I'll go to about here. Unfortunately, we can't really see anything in terms of the U-boat, so we're going to be continuing this by ear and by this map here, as is the fun of of having the darker nights installed. We'll just ping shallow. It's only got 30 meters underneath. Now, whether that's 30 meters below keel or 30 meters below the surface is unsure. I'd assume below keel. I'd hope below keel. Let us find out when we may go scraping along the bottom of the seafloor. So, we'll follow this path here, and we will go nice and slow. Going at 140 speed. The time is now past about 10:30 as we're approaching what I can only assume to be the Isle of Wight, I believe. I should absolutely know this. If that's wrong, I do apologise. And the fact I don't know for certain is embarrassing. But please forgive me, those of you who live on that island. So, we've passed that point there, and we must be getting really close to the seafloor here. Okay. So we've still got someone listening on the hydrophone. Nothing's being seen, and we'll make a quick dash along the surface. So, we'll come to a pause there. We'll bring the U-boat, to a stop, and we'll stay here for 15 minutes, just so Oysterman on the hydrophone can have a definitive listen to make sure nothing's going to come across us when we bounce up to the surface. And I'm going to take a quick look out of the periscope just to see if we can see anything. We shouldn't do, in theory, but you can never be too cautious. Let's just get into a nice position so we see the whole thing here. We'll raise our periscope up. As you can see, it is incredibly dark. And you see that's our target in front of us. So over to the left here will be Portsmouth Docks and Harbour. And we're just doing a quick scan around. No lights, nothing obvious. So we'll give our hydrophone a 50-minute listen, just to make absolutely certain we're not going to run into any ships. And then we'll get on our way and do the final approach here to Portsmouth. Okay, it is 12:30 in the morning. We will bring our U-boat up to the surface. And yeah, we're surfacing now. We can see that here. And we do have some low air reserves as we blow the tanks, but that's nothing. A bit of diesel compression won't help. So we'll turn on the diesel compressor, and we're going to be making a mad dash for the point of departure for our man. So we're going to be going dead center through here, and travelling the final few kilometers into here. And let's bring our speed up to flank, so we spend the least amount of time out on this open stretch of water. So we're going to be absolutely pushing the engines. I've got 2 people helping out Old Orb here with the engines, and we've got myself being helped by an additional crew member for the watch. And here goes our mad dash. So if we have a look on the surface, it's very dark, very difficult to see, but a watchman who has been out here for long enough, has a view of. Let's have a clear view of up to 4.0 kilometers, which is tremendously far, and a maximum detection range of 10 kilometers. So it's quite a distance that someone could spot us, and we're beginning to get into the view of the coastline soon. So we'll bring ourselves up to 48 times regular speed. And we're all doing quite well. We're gonna send Alfred to bed here, and we're gonna get Hans to the radio room. Just in case we get any further orders that need attending to. So we're in the shallows now, meaning we cannot dive whatsoever, or it would be exceedingly difficult to dive. And we should be approaching the coastline now. So if we go to myself on the surface, there you go, in front, you can barely make out the shoreline and all the trees going past. I hope that the YouTube compression will not butcher the extreme dark that I can see on my screen. And so we approach. Everything's going well so far, nothing of concern. Again, we've got no wiggle room in terms of diving, and we are approaching the espionage point for Portsmouth Dock. So our man has a bit of a trek along the coastline to get to Portsmouth Dock. In fact, he's got approximately, well, this many kilometres, for those of you who want to do the maths, for how long he'll walk. There we go. I'm presuming he's getting dropped off around there. And so, again, just speeding ourselves up slightly, and we'll bring ourselves down to standard speed, just in case we need to make a quick turn. But there you go, maintain Otto Strauss's cover, and we're completing the objective at night. It's currently 1 AM, you can't really get much more nightish than that, so we've timed that quite well. Oh, and there we go, we've gone within our area there. So he's departed from the ship. He's obviously just jumped over the side of the ship, didn't need a raft or anything, and has made his way over to the shoreline here. And so we'll repeat the process again. We'll spin our U-boat around, as you can see here. We'll spin our U-boat around, and we'll do a dash across this bit of channel here. So I'm making sure to turn to the right. We can get Hans to send a mission report back to HQ, pardon me. And then we'll be fine and dandy to head back to base. Though, if we can, I'd like to pick up a ship to intercept around the Celtic Sea. Obviously not guaranteed by any means, but if we can, I will go for it. Not necessarily in the middle of the English Channel, but when I've got a bit more wiggle room, I'd be certainly more tempted to attack. So let's send that mission report quickly. We've completed the objective. We just need to leave the area and send a report. So we'll speed up to Ah, it looks like we have ourselves a new objective, which must mean that we have something to listen to on the radio. So, let's get hands in the radio room to receive a transmission from the BDU, sorry. We'll just speed this up slightly. We're on a correct path, so we don't need to worry about heading into any rocks. And there we go. So now we have a new mission. We need to update the BDU, sorry, on the air defences in Portsmouth Port. Arrive undetected at the location. Identify the fire stations by periscope. It's a priority matter and overrides your current assignment that we now consider as finished. Okay, so absolutely fine. We will be doing a quick nip over into Portsmouth Port, which I sincerely hope, we can do within this night. If not, we might have to travel back to our point of safety over the channel, but I do believe we'll be able to cover this distance in the dead of night, considering it is winter. So if it was summer, I'd be a bit more cautious, but considering we have approximately about 6 hours until it begins to get light again, it is 1:10 at the moment, I do believe we should be absolutely fine. Which are very famous last words. And let us just do a quick save. Hello everybody. Sorry to interrupt the program. Things didn't go quite well after that save. Here is a quick clip of what happened. Right. Okay. This didn't go well. So yes, sorry for the interruption. We reloaded the save game and we'll pick up where we left off. Okay, so as I would have just explained in post-editing, that went poorly. Fair to say, I was not composed, and I time accelerated into the path of a ship coming out of Portsmouth, which proved difficult to deal with. I will likely post the bloopers on the channel as a separate video. But anyway, let us try that again. So, like nothing ever happened, we're still exactly where we were. Let us go. And this time, we'll stay tuned with caution for part 2.